Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we discuss the astrological energies from June 25th until July 2nd. As we are now on the other side of the summer solstice and we have fully entered into Cancer season. I'm going to begin with a general understanding of the energies at this time, at least as how I am receiving the downloads and messages. Then we'll move into more of a day-by-day look at the astrological transits that are happening as we close out June and move into July. We have just experienced the annual conjunction between the Sun and Jupiter, which is an expansive, amplified experience of your emotional world. And it brings up some questions such as what is being birthed within you in June, as both the Sun and Jupiter in Cancer have been squaring Saturn and Neptune in Aries. There has been aspects of our consciousness forcing us to birth into a new higher version of self, and it has been uncomfortable, emotional, intense, perhaps pulling at you from different areas of your own life experiences, but there's also this forward push into the unknown. So how can you honor your journey by becoming a new version of yourself, especially as June is a catalyst month that is inviting us to choose more of what you need. This is an invitation into what you feel is in alignment for you now, and to make choices and take actions that align with this new rising experience of yourself. Now, Cancer season is the first water sign in the zodiac wheel. Cancer is cardinal water that begins the movement of new growth, emotional understanding, deeper trust in yourself, and the willingness to connect more fully with your internal world. Cancer season is the first rainfall, the first shower, the first emotional release, the first jump into the lake, where there is a full body immersion into water, which is an unconscious return to the womb for safety, support, and comfort. So there's an unconscious full energy need to surrender, relax, and feel supported. When you're floating in a pool or in a lake, your body is beautifully supported while also being immersed in the intelligence and wisdom of the water. The water knows the way. The water exists effortlessly and gracefully, naturally flowing, and you align your consciousness with that full experience. Everything grows with water. Everything needs water, needs to receive water to be supported. So what needs to be watered within you? Where do you need to be restored and nourished? And this is a softer power, a softer energy field that we have perhaps difficulty adjusting to, especially when the energies on the planet are so dynamic and big. And yet the Cancer energy arrives after the busyness of Gemini season, of the mind, talking, words, overthinking, feeling like you're pulled in multiple directions and needing to produce, make moves, and communicate to demonstrate what you know, what you're thinking, what's on your mind. Now the experience of being in Cancer season is not only an annual event as the Sun moves through Cancer, but Jupiter is here making the journey through this water sign for the first time in 12 years, pulling us back into previous versions of ourselves, previous experience and needs. That Cancer energy is where we have imprints of memories, former experiences, more past life experiences to rise up in Cancer, especially if they've left some type of deep emotional imprint. And Jupiter comes through to reveal where you've been, what you've been holding, what you've been feeling, and asks you to now move it forward, to flow it into a new consciousness and open up new pathways that guide you into more of what you truly need now. Again, this is a softer power as the Cancer energy is receptive And it also relates to how we need more of this soft feminine power guiding the collective energy field from both above and within. Above the intense aggressive energies that strongly reflect the old paradigm. The old paradigm is collapsing as part of this changeover of cycles. Therefore, it will get louder, more aggressive, more obnoxious. It will fight more. It will create more division and polarity. There will be the messaging to side with me. Come over here where I can control you, manipulate you, tell you what you should think, where I will be the one who determines what you're meant to believe, what you should think. And these are the outdated, expiring approaches that no longer resonate with ascending energies, where we are being guided into more of our divine truth and wisdom, where we are connecting with more of our sovereignty and allowing ourselves to rightfully discern what is accurate for me, what is in alignment for me, what lifts me up and takes me higher versus what pulls me down and is trying to grasp at my energy field to feed off of it and benefit from it without my full consent, as if I can be easily manipulated, controlled, and talked down to. But now a softer energy is rising within us that is awakening more of our deep cellular intelligence, reminding us of our own truth, our own wisdom. It's also connecting us to very ancient lifetimes where we found a lot of wisdom in the water, how the water was able to flow and move, be absorbed, be received and blended, that this ancient wisdom in the water crystals holds very important intelligence codes, ancient coding around what to trust, what to move towards, what to flow with, and how to trust your own guidance that is moving you into the higher consciousness and higher realms. This is a quiet, peaceful calm that has enduring strength. It's an intuitive knowingness that you carry and is being amplified that is guiding you forward and reminding you there's nothing to do when you're connected to how the universal forces always move. There's nothing to respond to when you're already 3 steps ahead. There's nothing to engage with when you've seen the destined outcome and what is written. When there is less to do or solve or control, we move into a deeper surrender and open to more allowing that allows us to drop density, heaviness, weight, especially anything we've been trying to hold up or believe we had to prove, achieve, earn. There's a release mechanism here around what you no longer have to demonstrate as if you're worthy. You're already worthy. And how would you move with that deeper knowingness that's embedded in your cells? And so how I'm visualizing this energy is that with this strong entry into Cancer season, and Cancer being ruled by the moon and being deeply connected to the lunar cycle, we're moving through a moon gate. A moon gate that is an entry point into a new emotional frequency that removes past limitations and imprints around who you were and who you have been. So this brings up deep reprogramming is occurring at a very baseline level around attachments, security, connections, and what it means to be vulnerable. Now, this could feel like 2 steps back and 1 step forward. I'm seeing this as a beautiful, calming moon gate that is reprogramming the emotional body at a cellular level so that you can feel cleansed and purified with greater ease, greater openness. So it feels like less resistance, less like bracing yourself for something. You know how our muscles tighten and parts of our energy field tighten up when we're bracing for impact or when it feels like something is coming in. This is an opening into the wisdom of vulnerability, which is courage, strength, and brave energy. It's an opening into where you've had blockages or limitations around your emotional internal self, your internal emotional world, who you allow in, who you connect with, how you connect. It's working with a deep part of ourselves that has felt there were certain things you needed in place in order to have the right types of connections, relationships, partnerships, interactions, friendships. And some of that is good stuff. Some of that is healthy, strong. Those are the good boundaries to keep in place. And I'm seeing that strengthens, but then I'm seeing there's this incoming flow of release. Again, it looks like walking through a moon gate. And a moon gate, if you aren't familiar, is usually found in a garden, and it is an archway that looks like the full moon. And so it is a circle archway resembling the full moon, typically made out of stone, brick, and is able to hold that circular structure. And they are known for being magical entry points. So when you come across a moon gate in an unexpected place, there's often a sense of magic, wonder, whimsical energy shows up. And it's a portal into another realm. And so that's how I'm feeling this energy field, especially after the solstice, is that we're moving into new emotional frequencies that are deeply reprogramming what the emotional body has been holding out of fear. And that's why it can be so uncomfortable and challenging, as well as really intense, because there are certain messages you've been holding emotionally related to fear. Fear around maybe receiving, connecting, opening. Fear around love, being seen, being loved. Fears that have been traveling with the soul's energy field, but unconsciously. And that's also a theme with Cancer, is that these are the unconscious memories we hold that you don't remember or recall them exactly or specifically. Rather, you know the feeling, and the feeling leaves its mark on you. This is what is being cleansed and cleared. This is why it could feel like there's things coming up out of the blue that you're not even sure what happened, where it came from, what's this about. It could even be, I thought I dealt with this, I thought I worked through this, and then here comes that next layer. And so this is a time to open up to the gifts that Jupiter in Cancer and the Sun in Cancer are offering you through this cleansing, beautiful reprogramming experience. I'm seeing that it helps to calm the vagus nerve and activate the parasympathetic nervous system. This can help with restoring yourself and allowing a natural process to move through. And that's also how the water flow demonstrates its intelligence. Let it move through you. Allow that to be a demonstration of deep trust in a process. Even if that process feels very uncertain, overwhelming, disorienting, whatever it may be, there's a deep intelligence at play here as the water flows through. And so choose this from a place of empowered intuitive guidance. If this resonates with you, if this is what you're feeling in your experience. But I'm getting the visual again of this beautiful moon gate, and that there's softer celestial impressions whispering right now. They're whispering, and so we have to be quiet to tune in and hear what is ready to come through and arrive. And it's by restoring ourselves, calming the mind, calming the energy field, that we're able to tune into more of those core messages that have beautiful divine wisdom for us. And all of this is related to the grand intelligence of the water flow, of movement in the body. You might feel that you need to drink more water, that you're desiring more water medicine, to be around anything that feels like it's purifying, cleansing, and supporting you. This would also be a beautiful time to practice what you're speaking and saying to yourself as a vessel of water. And I'm being reminded of that very popular experiment from Dr. Emoto, who gave messages to the water crystals in different containers. And his research was demonstrating that external factors and outside stimuli deeply affected the water crystals. So view yourself as a beautiful vessel of water crystals and look at what is happening around you, what stimuli is affecting you or not affecting you. What are you saying to yourself? How are your thoughts impacting how you're feeling at this time? And where can you make changes that support loving yourself more, honoring your needs more, and listening to your intuition at a deeper level of your being? Dr. Emoto's work demonstrated how water is influenced by external energies and how it changes at a molecular level in response to what's going on outside of it. So consider how this brings up Cancer themes where we want to retract and pull back. We want to be in our own shells and find a way to not only listen to what's going on within us, but to make needed changes in order to grow and flourish as we move forward. And I feel that that's one of these big themes here, and it could happen quite quickly even, especially with Jupiter in Cancer, is that you might make some really powerful headway here around whatever is coming up within you when you honor it, listen to it, and love it. Love it forward. Love these parts of yourself in whatever is arising, and love the fact that we can be holding complexities within us. We can be holding multiple layers of ourselves that have never been fully expressed or flushed out. And I'm seeing this as a very interesting opportunity to grow. It looks like it's growing exponentially and rapidly. I'm seeing these water crystals just start to bloom and blossom with new love, a higher love vibration, almost like it's coming through, washing over it, and then the energy really starts to shape shift and become a whole new structure. And that's also because of how fast moving the energies are on the planet right now. So keep in mind, if you felt held back, that's exactly what the energy has been throughout most of June. There has been that square to Saturn and Neptune and Aries, which was concentrating the intensity of the energy, but not being able to bust through it, not having clarity around the action to take, what to do, how to get out of it. It could have felt like there was a giant pause and a giant blockage as well. But that's going to now open up as the Sun and Jupiter move on. And there's also going to be more that comes from it that beautifully supports you. So the pause, hesitation, blockages are necessary. They have been necessary, and yet that's going to loosen up here, especially as we move into July. It can also help to reframe any perceived blockages or stuck energy as an opportunity to be more fully in a sacred pause to hear and understand what you're meant to see in a new way. And so often we want to move through it. We want the energy to flow. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't want to have to be in the tension. In fact, it can be easy to pick up your phone and get that instant dopamine hit or distract yourself with something else instead of being fully in the gifts of the pause and to connect with the wisdom that typically is right below it, right below that tension and discomfort. But there will be more breakthroughs and new momentum showing up here as we move forward after that Cancer new moon that occurred on June 25th at 4 degrees of Cancer in your chart. Also during the Cancer new moon, Mercury in Cancer was squaring Chiron in Aries, which brings up painful thoughts, extra sensitivities around words, misunderstandings and confusion, fears, and even worst case scenarios. Mercury moves forward and sextiles Uranus in Taurus at 29 degrees on June 26th. And this is a release of understanding you don't have all the information. Not everything has been presented or seen. And Uranus wants to shake up wherever you've been spinning in an emotional loop. there's a need to break free of that and say, okay, let me open this up and invite in a new level of awareness that'll actually ground me in what I'm truly feeling. We do have an active Mercury over this next week, and I feel that it's the sextile to Uranus at the final degree of Taurus that brings about some type of closure, a closure in a cycle, an emotional process, anything you've been swimming through or deeply feeling and you haven't known what to do with it. And with both Mercury and Uranus at 29 degrees, those critical degree points of closure, decisions, and finalizations, you could see where you've been processing your current reality from a former version of yourself, maybe from a version of your inner child. Maybe it's been information or understanding that you've been used to contemplating from when you were younger. Or maybe it's a process you've had that's never been challenged, meaning you've never considered it from a higher perspective or a different vantage point. So there is a closing out of a thought process because you're growing away from it. You're moving into new understandings and new perceptions that are awakening more of your self-love, self-worth, and self-value. And so this relates to the reprogramming that's been coming up here, especially in the emotional body, that is ready to be different, that's ready to grow and approach a part of your life, your world, yourself in a new light. It could be that feeling of, I'm done with that version of myself. I'm done with what's been holding me back, what's been keeping me stuck, the parts of myself I haven't allowed to evolve or move into new territory. And so it feels like there's a very strong mental elevation unfolding based on intense emotional feelings and whatever is going on in your internal world that you can't deny. And it's creating this burst, again, the catalyst of forward movement that's pushing us forward. So after the new moon on June 26, there is more momentum. And not only does this Mercury sextile Uranus and Taurus at 29 degrees, but then the Sun in Cancer sextiles Mars in Virgo exactly, which is also a breakout of the internal world and look at what you can do about it. So we have both planets in Cancer interacting with planets in Earth signs that want clear development and a practical use of the energy. The Sun sextiling Mars gives us a focal point. What do you need to take care of? Where do you need to get caught up on something? What needs to be organized, managed, produced, or refined? You could feel ready to take care of some things that have been on the back burner, and there could be more energy moving through you to get things done and focus on important tasks at hand. Mars in Virgo is very productive, and it provides a grounding force that helps move whatever has been stuck or backlogged. So basically, you could feel that it's naturally easier to move ahead after the new moon. There's things to do, business to take care of, chores to complete, parts of your world to organize and improve. And it can all happen rather effortlessly with these sextiles. Then as we close out June, we're going to have the most transits happening with Mercury, which enters Leo later on June 26 after that sextile to Uranus and Taurus. And as Mercury moves into Leo, there is a clear strengthening in courage, bravery, self-expression, communications, and what you want to direct energy towards that solidifies what you've been sensing and feeling. Mercury moves into Leo and has immediate trines to both Saturn in Aries, followed by Neptune in Aries. This will be happening at 1 and 2 degrees in the fire signs, and then Mercury in Leo opposes Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 3 degrees. So let's break this down because this is very active mercurial energy as that desire to be bold and self-assertive is strengthened through the trine to Saturn. Saturn wants responsibility, clarity, wants it to be in alignment with what you're truly building and developing now. Saturn also wants you to think about, is this taking you further? Is this part of the new start that you are desiring? And here comes Mercury in Leo saying, yes, this is what I want to initiate and put my energy into. Then as Mercury trines Neptune in Aries at 2 degrees, this is where your intuition is showing you more of what's possible and expanding beyond what the mind can typically pick up on its own. That's because the mind can have limitations. It can only reference the present or the past at times. And this Neptune in Aries is taking you into future potentials, bringing in new visions, downloads, dreams, options that the mind is ready for. And this strong energy of Mercury trining both Saturn and Neptune is directing you towards a yes, where there is momentum, enthusiasm, inspiration. There also needs to be the ability to harness in what is truly you and to not go over the top. Now, I do feel that the trine to Saturn and Neptune is going to be intuitively guiding our desires into new manifestations and providing the mind with new creative concepts, outlets, and realities. There's something strengthening here about this Mercury in Leo trining Saturn and Neptune, where you're going to know more of what you need to say, what you want to express or communicate. There could be a more powerful desire around what is truly in alignment for you. And then we have this Mercury in Leo opposing Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 3 degrees. The opposition is exact on June 29th. And so this could feel like a standoff between the heart and the head. There can be an intense exchange of words between those who have a different viewpoint, opinion, and desire. This can be a clash of wills that challenges something that you're looking to create and express. It could even be that a previous version of yourself that is holding some type of fear is meeting a new version of yourself that is growing away from the fear and evolving past it. And so there can be an internal tug of war that feels very loud and tumultuous. But ultimately, the opposition from Pluto in Aquarius is meant to transform you at a deep core level and further enhance your ability to be stronger, clearer, and fuller in claiming who you are and what you want. But in order to do so, whatever fears are residing in the background have to be transformed. There are also ego deaths here when you have the planets in Leo opposing Pluto in Aquarius. Parts of ourselves are meant to evolve and move into the higher frequencies, but we can be afraid of letting go and not knowing what that means and what that looks like. And an ego death occurs in order to set us free. But if there is too much pride, resistance, or control in play, Pluto will amplify the intensity to show you what is excessive and ultimately return you back to the heart space. And so this energy of this opposition between Mercury and Leo, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, is also bringing back the stories around the Mars-Pluto oppositions that we had in January and late April. Remember how we had those 3 oppositions between Mars and Pluto, 2 of which were when Mars was in Leo, Pluto was in Aquarius. Here comes Mercury through that same territory, activating the stories, fears, words, communications, miscommunications, what was lost, what was not known or said, and creating a power struggle around what needs to be stated or what needs to be let go of. There could be some type of litmus test or decisive factor that comes to light. This also pertains to the collapse and crashing down of the old paradigm. And so every time a planet in Leo opposes this Pluto in Aquarius, from now until 2044, there will continue to be destruction, collapse, and removal of the lower Leo energies that are connected to a lower consciousness and the old paradigm. And the purpose is to transform these energies within ourselves so that they are stronger, brighter, and more rooted in the heart space that offers love and true connection from that core place. Now, it's interesting to note that after Mercury has this opposition to Pluto on June 29th, Mercury does not have any other strong aspects that unfold until Mercury stations retrograde July 17th. And that station retrograde, July 17th, is at 15 degrees of Leo, and it will last until August 11th, as Mercury will retrograde back to 4 degrees of Leo. So whatever is occurring during this Mercury opposing Pluto has ongoing consequences and effects that we continue to process, think about, and talk about during the Mercury retrograde in the second half of July. And of course, we'll be talking about that more in July. There are no further major astrology aspects June 30th, July 1st, or July 2nd. So we start the month of July with less activity in the cosmos, allowing us to trust more of our own internal messages and to be with them, to allow them to come in and be received so that you can really hear with greater clarity what is essential for you now. Remember that this is such a big year, as if you need a reminder, but just the long-term perspective is that we're moving through a lot. So when we have these periods of time where there's less going on in the cosmos, it can be a beautiful opportunity to be integrating and recalibrating with intentionality what you're moving towards, what you are creating and building, what you are desiring next, and to ensure that you're strengthening those cords of attachment to those parts of your energy field. We talk a lot about cutting cords, right? And dissolving cords, but you're also meant to reinforce what you want to manifest and to put energy into that to make sure that you're giving your energy to those experiences, to those parts of yourself that are in alignment with that next level dream. So I hope that this offers you beautiful opportunities of fortifying and investing in what does matter to you, especially after the big shifts and sacred pause energy of June. Throughout June, we've been talking about this intense square that is showing up in our lives and, of course, in the collective, creating tension between the planets in Aries and the planets in Cancer, which is tension between masculine and feminine. It's part of the creative tension that exists between masculine and feminine energies. And in astrology, of course, we know that squares not only reveal a challenge, but also highlight the potential for breakthroughs and growth. Squares are necessary, in fact, for personal development, up-leveling, and becoming more self-aware, which means there's always a higher octave approach to working with squares. And at first you might not recognize it or see it, especially if you're looking at your astrology chart and you see all those red lines, and all those red lines tend to signify there is tension, pressure, challenge, confusion, stagnation. We also see it in oppositions. When planets and points are on two sides of a chart, they are in opposite astrology signs, and they would have very different needs and expressions that feel like they're up against another part of yourself. An opposition in a chart signifies where these two parts of yourself are looking for healthy expression, but there can be very deep unconscious patterns here that have been alive and experienced throughout one's life. But those patterns only exist until you become more conscious of what's really going on. And since we've been living in these very big astrological energies, we've had not only the squares of June, but we've been moving through the oppositional tension between Pluto, now in Aquarius, and planets in Leo. But as with all things, there's always that higher approach from your own evolved consciousness that's waiting to come in and give you a soul message and deeper understanding around what is going on here, what you're meant to understand, grasp, and embody, and how to work with these energies in a more evolved state. And this is something that I'm passionate about, and so is my friend Mary Kennedy. And so that's why we came together to create an online program with a live workshop to assist everyone who's interested in working with the squares, the oppositions, and the tensions of our time to harness what polarity brings up and to allow it to take you higher, to transform you with a new understanding of what's possible. So not only does this apply to the collective energies here that we're all moving through that are bringing us into a place of deep questioning, but it's also about remaining in your power, working with these forces to create a higher version of yourself that moves you forward. Because not only did we come here to experience these energies, we came here to embody the new solutions, the new approaches, the new ways of working with tension, polarity, and opposition that beautifully guides us forward. And this is one of the ways that we actively become higher versions of ourselves in the new consciousness, where we don't go back to previous versions, previous patterns, or methods. This is about allowing the tension to beautifully reshape you. So Mary and I are very excited about this information. Of course, it's also what we practice. We certainly walk the talk. We are actively using these energies to improve ourselves and to do our own personal inner work. And because we've come to see and feel the benefits of it and how empowering it is, we just wanted to offer and share it with those who felt a call to join us and to see your astrology chart in a new way. So when you sign up, you're going to get 5 pre-recorded videos and teachings where I go into new ways of looking at oppositions in your chart, new ways of looking at squares in your chart. And then there's a few other topics covered, including T-squares, grand crosses, and mystic rectangles. And then Mary and I are going to do a live workshop this Saturday, June 28th, going into even more teachings and specifics. So I hope you will join us if you feel a resonance with this information. The program is called Weaving the New Human, Dancing with Polarity and the Planets. I'll put a link in the show description if you want to check it out. And this is designed to be an ongoing tool for you to reference and implement when you are in tension, crisis, indecision in your life. We have a lot of big things coming up right now, but you also came in with beautiful support from your soul on how to access the best answers for yourself. So very excited to talk about this and go into it even more. Of course, a replay will be available if you can't be there live on Saturday, and the program will be available after the live workshop as well. So as June closes out and we flow into more of the fullness of Cancer season, remember how beautifully guided you are by a higher universal intelligence that is supporting you through your intuition, emotional growth, and incoming higher frequencies that hold a lot of divine messages for you to receive now. The more receptive we can be, the more trusting and vulnerable we can be to opening up from our hearts and our true emotional core, the more you're going to feel what is exactly accurate and true for you now. Wishing you a beautiful entry into July. Happy Canada Day for those who are in Canada. And I look forward to connecting with you next week as we continue to move through these astrological waves together and discuss what's coming up in July. As always, thank you so much for your presence and connection. I greatly appreciate it. And I look forward to connecting with you again every Monday and Wednesday. Take good care, and I'll see you back here soon.